What's poppin', everybody? Saber4, bringing you guys Pokemon sets from past formats. It's been a while since I did one of these, but we're back and we're going to cover the sixth set in the third generation original EX series. It is going to be EX FireRed and LeafGreen. So this is actually one of the stronger sets from the EX era. I almost added it to my top 10 sets of all time when I was doing that video back in December. It's almost been a year ago, many months. I came close and I didn't add it, and I kind of sort of regret that a little bit, especially looking at this set right now, because it definitely is one of the stronger sets. It's kind of weird. The thing is with this set, LeafGreen and FireRed, is the concept art isn't really great. It doesn't really look impressive from the outside, but the cards inside are actually very strong and very beautiful. Very cool holographic arts. Like for example, you look at the theme decks for the corresponding set. Like you got the FireRed and you got Charmeleon, and you've got the LeafGreen one with Ivysaur. So they decided to give the middle evolution some love because the starters are the starters, and then the third form gets featured more. So it was kind of weird what they did, but kind of cool. But looking at it from the outside, it doesn't look that impressive. Ivysaur and Charmeleon as sort of the boss theme deck, but the bosses are actually different. And theme deck is actually quite good, the FireRed one, because it includes the Pidgeot that has the amazing ability. We're going to cover this in this set. Yeah, this set is, I definitely should have added it in my top 10 sets. I think it's just too good. A lot of amazing cards, a lot of great holographic art cards. So we're going to start from the bottom, as I usually do maybe. We have a lot of amazing trainers, EXs, and even secret rares. So many EXs here. So let's start with the first one, and possibly the most competitive one, Blastoise EX. So Blastoise EX has Energy Rain, which is basically like the Rain Dance it had from base set, original sort of ability of Blastoise. And it is, as you would imagine, as often as liked on your turn, you can attach water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. But you put one damage counter on that Pokemon, and this power can't be used if Blastoise EX is affected by a special condition, something pretty standard for back then. Poke Powers, if you had a status condition on, they couldn't be used most of the time. All the time, actually. I don't remember if there's any exception. But of course, there was a competitive deck using this guy and using Steelix EX from EX Unseen Forces that came out pretty quickly. And you could use Lugia EX too as sort of the last dude that was going to get you the last few prizes. You didn't really want to use it too much since it was a basic EX Pokemon. It didn't have that great HP. Still, EX was the better one. Could do a snipe for 100. You would knock out Pidgeot, and it had a lot more HP. Immune to poison too, if I remember. So very powerful ability. Of course, they had this limitation with the damage counters because an ability like this for back then, it was quite strong. Having this sort of energy acceleration, attach as many water energies as you like, really just break the rules, even more so than how the rules are broken for our energy acceleration Pokemon today. Because back then things were pretty balanced out. They were sort of pretty well rounded in a way. So an ability like this could get too crazy. So it was good that they had the damage counter limitation. So if you were going to put a bunch of energies on one Pokemon, it was going to get really hurt. And its attack, Hyper Whirlpool. You flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, your opponent discards an energy attached to the defending Pokemon. Good little side effect, I guess, is for a coin flip effect. If you get a bunch of heads, you discard energies. The important thing is that it does 80 for 4, which is solid damage, considering that it's basically almost a free attack when it comes to Blastoise. Its stats are good at 150. The important thing is that it only has one weakness to lightning, which is quite good for a big X like that. And it was just all around an excellent Pokemon. You use this in a competitive deck. I don't remember how exactly it was called, but it was Blastoise, Steelix, Lugia, basically. I think it won Worlds in 2006. It was definitely a top deck. If you go to Jason Klasinski's WordPress page, he talks all about it, of course, among all the other decks. And you didn't necessarily put the water energies on Steelix. You basically used the Delta species energy Pokemon, like I think you used Cast Form. Not quite sure, but if you go there, you're gonna figure it out. It's not that complicated. Blastoise EX definitely great. Could be used with many different Pokemon, of course. These were just the best. Next up, we got Charizard EX, the opposite of being super good. This Pokemon wasn't really good, but I remember when I was looking at it when I was quite young, looking at the scans like from my computer and shit. Man, it looked really cool along with the Salamence and stuff because it's one of those Pokemon where you just, when you're not a great player, you just look at it and you're thinking it's great with these flashy big energy attacks and doing 200 damage. When you saw those numbers, you knew you were dealing with a strong Pokemon. And this was Charizard EX. And since it's a Charizard card and Charizard EX is very sought after, it's probably a very expensive card, especially if you have it graded. 160 HP, quite strong. Double weakness, unfortunately, though. And you got Energy Flame. All energy attached to Charizard are fire instead of the usual type. So once again, kind of modeled after the basic Charizard. You're going to see a common trend here. And you actually see very familiar cards from our latest set, Celestial Storm, all the revamps. You got Slash doing 50 for 3. Okay, that's not great. And then Burn Down. This is the good attack, the cool attack. You discard 5 fire energy attached to Charizard EX, and the damage won't be affected by weakness, resistance, poke powers, any effects. So it doesn't really matter that it doesn't hit for weakness, since with 200 damage you're knocking out basically anything, even Wailord EX. Only something like Wailord EX with a bunch of, let's say, defensive add-ons would survive. Everything else dies, but you discard a lot, and 5 energies is a lot to power up to. So this is why this card didn't do jack shit, as usually Charizard cards don't do. But it's definitely cool looking. The art is very slick. It's a collector's card for sure. Next up, we got Clefable EX. This Pokemon is kind of interesting. Looks very nice too. I own this card. So HP is meh. EX, I guess it was standard for back then. The bottom stats aren't very impressive either, and Moon Impact doing 2 for 40 isn't very impressive as well. The only thing it has going for it is Metronome. You choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks, and Metronome copies that attack except for its energy cost. And you have to do everything else, and this guy is still colorless as it's using that attack. So this is the only cool thing Clefable X can do, and it can actually make a really good counter against Dragon Pokemon, or just in general be a good little copycat Pokemon in situations. It can make a good tech. Since it works with any energy, only 2 to use Metronome, you can actually copy something like Charizard EX's attack, maybe. Uh, then of course you have to discard the energy, but you don't have to use 5. So it's quite good if this is how the ruling goes. So very interesting Clefable X card. Good little EX. Alright, next up we got Electrode EX. So you guys can see like the EXs in here. They're big names. Got Blastoise, Clefable is quite good. Electrode EX is very good, we're gonna look at. Gengar is nice. Talked about this recently in my top 10 Gengar cards. You got the Mimes. This should be familiar with you guys with our latest Celestial Storm set. And Articuno EX2, modeled after the, the Articuno GX is kind of modeled after this card. So a lot of familiar concepts, revamp cards. So let's look at Electrode EX. This is the possibly the best sort of Electrode support dude that ever existed. There's a bunch of other good Electrode cards, but I think this is the best. We'll have to wait and see if Electrode GX does a lot of cool shit because it definitely has potential. So 90 HP X Pokemon, not good. The bottom stats are okay at least. You got Crush and Burn, like the GX attack of Electrode GX. The only difference is you can do this many times. You discard as many energy as attached to your Pokemon as you like, and it's going to do 30 damage plus 20 more damage. So you can get one-hit knockouts with this, but they're more efficient. They're better attacks that just do the same shit. Similar attacks of this manner that just do more damage, like Rayquaza EX's attack. But if you ever need to attack, I guess, and you have ways to discard energy, you can do solid damage. course, you use this Pokemon for extra energy bomb. You knock Electrode EX out, and you can grab up to 5 energy cards from your discard pile and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. And you can get any energies. So you can get Scramble energy. We didn't have DC, but we had double Rainbow energy, a bunch of other special energies. Amazing, amazing energies. The best sort of broken energies from back then. And you can grab all of them and attach them. So you do lose 2 prizes. It's high risk, high reward, but getting all those getting all those energies isn't something to take lightly. And actually, since I'm looking at this card, man, it brings back memories. Did that Electrode TCG overview. There's a Pokemon that you can use this here. Puka talked about it. Let's see. Where are you? The Executor from the same set. I believe it's this one. And yeah, Big Explosion. So this deck was called Eggs.deck. I believe that's what they called it from back in the day where it wasn't TCG Online and they had to use programs like Red Shark and Apprentice to play online. So you combine it with this Pokemon. You used Electrode EX to grab a bunch of all these crazy energies, attach them to Executor, and then Big Explosion. You flip a coin for each energy attached to Executor, and this attack was going to do 40 damage, the number of heads. So, kind of the same idea with Malamar EX from Phantom Forces. You do put a bunch of energies, and on average, let's say you have 10 energies on average, let's say you're going to get 5 heads if we're going by odds. So that means 5 times 4, you do 200. So this was basically the idea. If my math is correct, you put like billions of energies on this dude because Rainbow energy, Scramble energy, all these energies, boost energy, provided like 2 to 3 energies at a time. So you grab a bunch of these and damn, like you were gonna do crazy fuck damage. It was more of a fun deck. I don't believe this was a super competitive deck, but I'm sure it could succeed. Executor. It also has an interesting first attack, Psychic Exchange. Shuffle your hand to your deck and draw up to 8 cards. So not bad. Stage 1 dude, Psychic Pokemon. So a nice little combo that Puka mentioned in his top decks that I remember from that video. But yeah, Electrode EX, it's definitely a very good EX Pokemon. It opens up sort of the portal to crazy combos, strategies, and sort of the Pokemon that makes the impossible possible, makes Pokemon that otherwise wouldn't work. So nice little thing, and hopefully that's what happens with Electrode GX2. I'm hoping to see that Pokemon in Worlds, maybe top, maybe even win. Just do some crazy shit. That's what Pokemon TCG is about. Alright. Gengar EX. I talked about this in the Gengar top cards, as I said. It's a very good Pokemon with Poltergeist. You're going to do crazy good damage if your opponent has a bunch of basically any card that's not a Pokemon or energy. It works with stadiums, trainers, supporters, basically everything else. It's going to do a lot of damage. Let's say they have 4, you're doing 80 for 2. If they have more, like, it's not uncommon for back then to have big hands of 7 cards with a bunch of those trainers stuck over there, even without sort of trainer lock. It's going to do strong damage. And even though you can't necessarily use it with Vileplume, since Vileplume EX doesn't work from the bench, you can still sort of use, let's say, Vileplume EX, and then use this sort of as a, in the end sort of dude, get him out and do a mass attack like that. And if everything else fails, prize count is a good attack too. If you're losing in prizes, it's going to do 100 for 3. Very good EX Pokemon. The cool thing about this Pokemon is that one of the few, if not the only Pokemon that has a double resistance, or at least a double resistance to fighting and colorless. So cool shit. Double weakness to darkness and psychic too, but its stats are pretty well rounded. I mean, it does have a double weakness, but it does have a double resistance too, on very useful types. 150 HP is good. Cool looking art. Gengar EX. Can't go wrong with that. Next we got the Mime, Mr. Mimes here. So, they do like the wall thing that Mr. Mime GX does. There should be another one. I'm pretty sure I did see two Mr. Mime GXs that got revealed in Poke Beach. So the one they're probably holding as a promo. But this one is the odd dude. Blocks odd attacks. 10, 30, 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 150, and even 170. If you go over that, it's not going to block it, like say 190, but it's probably unlikely. And breakdown, it's the same attack. You count the number of cards in your opponent's hand, you put that many damage counters, and that's it. No GX attack. Doesn't have a weakness too, which is interesting. 80 HP. It's probably a little low for an EX, but you're relying on this body to sort of block damage, save you. And then you've got the Mr. Mime EX here. It does the same thing for even numbers. So it's not prime, it's even. I was so wrong when I was talking about these cards. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, and 180. And everything else is the same. It would probably be shit if you got a box and pulled these guys as your EXs. It's kind of lame, especially because, you know, it's two of them too. You know, it's kind of, they're not that special. They don't have really many great differences, even in art. Competitively, I guess maybe they have more value there, but I don't really think they did much either. I can't really think of many very good hit and switch Pokemon during that era. I think there are a few. Jason Klasinski should have covered them if you check out his articles. I think there is one, but I don't really remember it. I think it was not Quagsire or I think it was Polydot. Yeah, Polydot EX that does this. Maybe you can use these Pokemon as walls. But yeah, interesting. And then we got Venusaur EX, looking pretty cool. It's kind of the forgotten Pokemon. It's, you know, Blastoise EX is a competitive one. Charizard EX is sort of the collector, cool one. And Venusaur EX is almost kind of forgotten. Like, I really just didn't think of it coming into this set. But I remembered Charizard and Blastoise. So it's always a damn shame for Venusaur. It's definitely a cool as fuck Pokemon, too. And it has Energy Trance. As often as you like, you can move a grass energy attached to one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. So the move energy around shit, we've seen this before too. So Venusaur X doing this useful thing. And you have Pollen Hazard. Does 20 damage, but if any Pokemon is poisoned, burned, and confused. So a lot of status. I'm not sure if 20 for 3 it's good enough though, because I think Cradily X does almost the same shit. It does 40 for 3, and it inflicts 3 status or 2 status. I think I'd rather just do 2 status instead of 3 and do more base damage. So I don't know. This is a stage 2 Pokemon too. I guess it's not a fossil. And then Solar Beam does 90 for 5. That's not good. There's other Pokemon that do 100 for 5. So he's a little on the weak side. I don't think it did anything. Double weakness hurts too. 3 retreat and doesn't have any resistance, so too bad. Looks really awesome though. Venusaur EX. And then we have our secret rares. You got the Charmander concept art secret rare. Looks pretty cool. Has Rage too, so I guess this is one of the ways you can make the Charizard EX work with the big HP. So you see, even in that era, Charizard can do some shit. When it's usually bad, you've got this Rage strategy down. It's always something. And then we have 3 more EXs, the Legendary Birds as secret rares. I actually own Zapdos. Got it before the price went crazy. These cards are probably too expensive now. But yeah, these are actually secret rares and feature some sort of a crystallized holographic technology. They look kind of different than the other EXs and most of the EXs from that era. I think the ones in EX and Legends look like this too, the previous set. Regirock, Regirise, Registeel. So 110 HP, so decent for an EX basic Pokemon. Metal weakness to retreat. And it has Legendary Ascend. When you play this from the hand to the bench, you can switch your active Pokemon with Articuno EX and move any water energy attached to your Pokemon to Articuno EX. So it's exactly like Tapu Koko GX's ability, like Articuno GX's ability, I believe. And you got Cold Crush. It's kind of an unimpressive attack. You do 50 for 3, and you can discard an energy attached to Articuno EX. redo your opponent's discard and energy too. So it can be an instant energy removal, but you have to lose an energy as well. So it wasn't the greatest EX Pokemon, but I guess it's not useless like the ones in EX Ruby too. I guess for that era, it's definitely better. I think it's better. It was better this Articuno EX for that format than Articuno GX is probably going to be on this format. But we'll have to wait and see. And we got Moltres EX, Legendary Ascend 2. So that does the same shit for fire Pokemon, for fire energies. So I'm guessing the Zapdos does the same for lightning. And you do Crushing Flames. You do 60 for 3. And you may discard an energy attached to Moltres EX. And if you do it, if any Pokemon is now confused. Okay, so the side effect isn't as good as Articuno's, but you do 10 more damage too. And maybe the confusion can be handy. You actually do inflict status, so a Pokemon with a Pokemon power is gonna lose its power. So interesting. And actually, do you not have? No, they don't even have a fighting resistance. That's too bad. And Zapdos EX, once again, same HP. The stats are the same. Legendary Ascend, the same effect with lightning energies and Electron Crush. You may discard an energy attached to Zapdos EX, and this attack is going to do 70 damage. So, not bad. This is actually a Pokemon that can't be used in the Rayquaza EX Deoxys deck, I think. I don't remember, but Jason Klinsky has once again another creative, a really cool competitive deck from that era, and I think you can use this card as a tech, taking advantage of the lightning shit. See, these Pokemon are good. They're just more of a tech dudes, let's say. So yeah. So these are the high-end cards, the sort of EX Pokemon. There's a lot you can get. We actually didn't cover Gyarados. Silly me. But I guess it's because it's not that good, maybe. I guess for back then. So you see it does 100 for 5. So that's even better than Venusaur EX. Puts that Pokemon to shame. 130 HP is very respectable for Stage 1 EX. And then Twister isn't that great, doing 40 for 2. And you flip 2 coins for each heads. You discard an energy. And if both are tails, doesn't do anything. Don't think this card did shit. But these are the EXs. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these might be like the biggest set of EXs from that era actually because of the secret rares here. So yeah, I think I did make a mistake not adding this because you have VS Secret, you have all these amazing trainers we're going to talk about too. So the trainers in this set, you got the original Bill's Maintenance. This card got reprinted actually in Celestial Storm. They didn't improve the effect, which sucks balls. But back then, it was a good little draw card if you wanted to use it. The TV Reporter was probably better because you discarded a card, and that added synergy. That gave you synergy with some cards and combos. This one, you shuffle a card into the deck, so maybe this can have some implications. But it's your draw 3 with a cost. Didn't get any better from back then. You couldn't draw 3 costless. We got Silo's Network. This was a competitive supporter too. You search your deck for a basic Pokemon or evolution card, excluding Pokemon EX. So you can basically get any evolution with this dude and a basic Pokemon, but you can't get an EX. So Professor Elm, what that dude did is that it allowed you to get only an evolution, but you could get EX evolutions too. I think that's what the effect was. So you had to decide which of them you wanted to use, but it was definitely a competitive card. Depending on the deck you use this, depending on the deck you use maybe Elm. Good little card to get your evolution dudes. Next up we have Energy Removal 2. This set is iconic once again for this reason too. Energy Removal, if you guys know from the base set days, is one of the most broken cards of all time. Just an instant energy removal. And basically the card really didn't see any sort of recreation until they brought it back in the form of energy removal 2, which it does the same shit, but the difference is it's on a coin flip. So that balances out nicely, I believe. I think actually it did come out in the Expedition, the sort of e-reader sets, and then they brought it back here. I don't really remember. I could be wrong, but I think this is the original sort of energy removal 2 card. So, it's nice. It makes it more balanced. I don't know, for some reason, I really fucking hate the Crushing Hammer, but Energy Removal 2, even though it's actually the same card, I don't hate it so much. Maybe it's for nostalgia. But I mean, I guess if my opponent started using it against me and getting heads, I'd probably hate it just as much. But I definitely like the art, and it has the sort of original concept around it. It's Energy Removal 2, so it's like the new version of the original card. Crushing Hammer is like a whole different thing based on an old card. So yeah, but if I'm honest, they shouldn't exist. These cards are too unfair. If you get the heads, it's just too much of an unfair advantage. If you get heads, like let's say on a Pokeball, you can add whatever you want. But for certain decks, there's balls that you can instantly search something anyway. Uh, so it's not as great as an effect as if you get the free energy removal from a heads on a card like this. So that's what I believe. If you want energy removal shit, it should be in the form of a supporter. At least. Next we got Energy Switch. You guys know what it does. Next we got EXP All, the Experience Share. So I believe this does the same shit as the Experience Share from the Black and White. Maybe during your opponent's turn, if one of your active Pokemon is knocked out by your opponent's attack, you may take a basic energy attached to that knocked out Pokemon, attach it to the Pokemon with XP All. So yeah, it's the Experience Share we know. So another good original card from this set, I think. You got Great Ball. This card came from this set too, the original Great Ball. I don't think, yeah, it didn't come from any other set. And this is another very useful little trainer. You can instantly search a basic Pokemon and put it on the bench. So it's like Nest Ball. So it's good little card. So already you guys can see some significant cards here. I got Life Herb, that's not so good. You flip a coin, heads, you heal 6 and remove special condition, excluding EX Pokemon. And you got Mountain Moon. Any Pokemon with a maximum HP 70, HP less than 70 can't use Poke Powers. Interesting. So you're gonna block a lot of the little dudes with Poke Powers. Nice disruption. Nice little art too. It really doesn't look like a Mountain Moon, but I guess in the anime, it actually does look like Mountain Moon. So cool. Cool cards. You got Pokeball, you got Pokedex handy, 909. Shuffle your deck. Look at 6 cards from the top of your deck and put them back in any order. Okay, so you shuffle your deck first. Interesting. This is like the little Pokedex we know, but you reveal 6 instead of 5. You got Pokemon Reversal. This is basically your Pokemon catcher with a coin flip once again. The shit was right and then they messed it up. You flip a coin, if heads, choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and switch it. Gust of Wind on a coin flip, so another significant card. You got Professor Oak's Research. This is basically the original pawn to Professor Oak's New Theory. You shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 5. So it's like Shauna, but since this was the EX series, it's still a solid draw. So this was a pretty good card too. Probably wasn't used as much as other draw supporters, like from the Hollow engine maybe, and the other classic sort of supporter engine for the EX series, but I think they definitely use this one actually. People use Professor Oak's Research. It's good shuffle and draw. Nice. And you got Super Scoop Up. You guys know what it does. Not sure if it came before, but it's basically Scoop Up with a coin flip again. And VS Seeker, this is the big one. So this is actually the original set of VS Seeker. So when I look at this card, is especially when I'm thinking, man, the original set from VS Seeker, all these other great cards, and I didn't include it in my top 10 sets. I did include it as an honorable mention, but I think maybe if I had to reevaluate some shit, this set was going to be in. Maybe. We'll have to see of the other standard Pokemon cards. But the original VS Seeker comes from this set. It's not as powerful as the VS Seeker that you guys know and love, because of the rules back then is that when we played a supporter, the supporter stayed there until the end of the turn. So let's say you couldn't play a supporter, then use Via Seeker, grab it back, do all this shit, or I guess you could still discard the supporter and get it back, but it definitely wasn't as strong as how the Via Seeker is right now when it was released in Phantom Forces. And even the Via Seeker in Supreme Victors, when that got re-released, it wasn't all that. People run it at 1, 2 at best, and I think I was like the exception running 2 Via Seekers. Most people only ran 1 if they ran it at all, because the supporter stayed as well until the end of the turn. But strong card Via Seeker, of course. From EX FireRed and LeafGreen, good shit. And we got multi-energy. Attach multi-energy while on play provides everything. But if it has special energy attached to it already, it only provides colorless. Another good card. Good special card. And that's it. So you guys see a lot of significant trainer cards from Via Seeker, Professor Oak, good little items, Reversal, even Mount Moon, Great Ball, Experience Share, Energy Removal, True Silius Network, even Bill. So great shit. So the bottom cards are definitely top notch. You can't complain. And now it's time for the normal shit. We have a lot of pretty holographic cards. So I think I'm going to cover just my favorites from the Pokemon that I like, and maybe some of the good ones that I know. We still haven't covered the big ones. So you got Dugong here. Hopefully I bring you guys my TCG overview. Spoiler alert, is going to be on Dugong. So yeah, it's going to be coming. I need to record that shit. Have the script written for a while. But this is a nice little Dugong card with Safeguard, prevent all effects of attacks from and damage, of course, from Pokemon EX. So nice. You get an Aurora Beam. It does 40 for 3. Not great, but at least it's colorless. So you can use this as a tech in any deck. So that's the good thing, is that it works with any energy. It's a water Pokemon, so it might provide some good coverage. And Safeguard is good. So a nice little EX tech if you want to use it. And then Cold Breath does 10 for 1. And instantly puts the shit on sleep too. So good. Nice little Dugong. Love the holographic art in this one. You got the other Dugongs in the background too, swimming sort of thing in sort of majestic sea. Pretty cool. Alright, so actually what we have to do is we need to cover the best Pokemon first. That's what we usually should do. So the biggest card from this set, another reason why, I was such a fool not including this in my top 10 sets, is Pidgeot. This is a stage 2 Pokemon, and when you look at it, it doesn't look, I mean, the bottom stats are good, having a fighting resistance, free retreat, weakness to lightning. 100 HP isn't at best, but it wasn't that bad back then. So the stats are good. Maybe it could have used a little bit more HP, but the stats are solid. But the big thing on this Pokemon was Quick Search. This has got to be one of the most broken abilities we've had, especially for back then. So once during your turn, before you attack, you can choose any card from your deck and put it into your hand. And you can't use more than one Quick Search, so that's a good thing. Because if you had a couple of these and played them, it's just too good. It is already too good. This card was so good that you'll hear Jason Krasinski talk in his articles that let's say 2 people were playing the same deck or a very similar deck, give or take the same cards in the deck. The player that basically had one Pidgeot around, that was, let's say, the only difference, was eventually possibly going to win. There were definitely going to be an advantage because you can grab one of any card per turn. So you can, it acts as a toolbox sort of thing. You can grab the corresponding card to the situation. So let's say you need a disruptive card, you need a healing card, you need a supporter. It doesn't matter. You can grab you the shit. You can grab, of course, evolution pieces, Pokemon pieces, anything. Grab any card is strong. It was so strong, in fact, that Pokemon like Blaziken EX and other snipers like Steelix EX were good because of their ability to be able to snipe Pidgeot out and get it out of the way quick. Quite strong. You had to play a Pokemon like this, Pidgeot in your deck, and if you didn't run this Pokemon, you either had to run a sort of different supporting Pokemon that maybe gave you a little bit of a different advantage, or maybe draw power, like let's say Porygon 2 from Delta Species, or and it was a stage 1, so it was faster, or you ran something that you blocked Pidgeot and powers in general, shit like that. You were really adamant about lock instead of speed. So this was your only options. If you just ran a bland deck without trying to lock powers, without trying to lock Pidgeot, or running some sort of support of your own, then the dude with the Pidgeot was going to have the advantage. Get a free card per turn, very good. Clutch does 40 for 2. If any Pokemon can retreat. It's actually not bad, considering this is such a great support Pokemon. Maybe Clutch can come in handy sometimes too. It works with any energy. And 40 is solid, I guess, for 2. So it was a great Pokemon. One of the best Pokemon, support Pokemon we ever had. Good art, Pidgeot. It's definitely the best Pidgeot card ever released, hands down. And I don't even know of all the other Pidgeot cards, to be honest. But this card was too good. You'll see it in most decks. The Nidoqueen deck especially. Man, we gotta talk about Nidoqueen too. Wow, this set has so many good cards. Alright, so speaking of Nidoqueen, since I mentioned it, where are you, Nidoqueen? I'm pretty sure it's in this set. There you are. So this is probably the strongest Stage 2 non-EX sort of powerhouse attacker from this set. It has excellent stats, 120, as good as it's gonna get. Decent retreated too. And good attacks and a body. I was gonna say ability. So with family bonds, as long as Nidoqueen is in play, the retreat cost for Nidoran, blah blah blah, Nidoking, whatever, is 0. Okay, so that's good. So it gives you a nice little supporting role. So it basically gives everybody free retreat besides itself. So your other dudes are gonna get free retreat. So not bad. The good thing about this Pokemon is Power Lariat. That's what the thing that made it good. Sort of remember family bonds being the shit that gave it the extra attack, but no, it's the effective Power Lariat. So this attack does 40 damage, but it's going to do 10 more damage for each evolved Pokemon you have in play. So already you're going to do 50 actually, because you have to involve Nidoqueen too, so that's 50 for 3. And then if you have 5 evolved Pokemon on your bench, either stage 1, stage 2s, you're doing 100 for 3. That's pretty good. That's very good, solid damage for a non-EX Pokemon. And usually you were going to have a bunch of other Nidoqueens, and you were going to have your Pidgeot to try and add cards, of course, and maybe some other support Pokemon. So you were going to have a bunch of dudes out. You know, the rare candy was at its full power back then. So Nidoqueen, it was going to do usually a lot of damage. And the first attack, Toxic, excuse me, you probably weren't going to use this since it requires a grass. But if your Pokemon is not poison and you put 2 damage cards instead of 1. So it's actually not bad. But since it's grass, you know, Power Lariat is fighting. Maybe you use both energies in the deck. I don't think so. But if you wanted to, maybe if you use grass Pokemon too. But this was definitely a good Pokemon, and it sort of surprised people. People were going in there with their sort of meta decks that were proven, and then a dude brought in Nidoqueen with Pidgeot and some other shit, and it took Jason Kaczynski, took all the good players by surprise and won some shit. So definitely good Nidoqueen, a very strong stage 2 Pokemon, normal stage 2 Pokemon. So let's look at Nidoking since you're not right next to it. What do you do? So as long as Nidoking is in play, your attacks do 10 more damage. So wow, yeah. See, I got the abilities confused. So yeah, this is the dude that gives extra damage. So if you bring out this dude, bring out a bunch of these while you have the Nidoking out, your damage becomes even more insane. So you combine these two Pokemon, and you have a dude that's going to have free retreat. You're going to have a bunch of add-on damage in the form of your Nidokings that are going to be out. And then since you have a bunch of evolved Nidokings and the Pidgeot and what have you, Nidoqueen's Power Lariat is going to do crazy damage. So very good. Its attacks are probably not that impressive. Earth Poison, if the dude has already damage counters on it, it's poisoned. Okay, so that's good actually, 40 for 2. And then you can poison too. And Bound Crush, You choose an opponent's Pokemon, 60 damage to that Pokemon. Alright, so this is like a snipe for 60, but you need to pay 4 energies, so not bad, I guess. There's other dudes that do 4 for 60, but it's not even snipe. The weakness, I think, is different too. Let's check out just to be sure. Yeah, this dude's weak to grass. Nidoqueen is weak to grass. And Nidoking is weak to water, so it gives you a little bit of variety. So this was definitely a good deck. Let's look at Kangaskhan next. Support dude with 3 attacks. You draw a card, you can use Headbutt, and then you can do a flip a coin attack. Okay, not the best. We already talked about Dugong. Beedrill, I think, doesn't do anything. If any Pokemon is now poisoned, 1 for 20. And Link Needle, 50 plus 30 more damage for each Beedrill, excluding this card you have in play. So akin to Rabies from the Rise and Rivals and Great Encounters deck that won Worlds. You have more Beedrills out, it's going to do more damage besides itself. The only problem is 90 HP is a little low, I think. It does have free retreat though. Okay. Poliwrath, one of my favorites. You have Spiral, as long as Poliwrath is the active Pokemon. Confused as Pokemon can retreat. And then you got Split Spiral Punch. It's a confusing attack. You do 20 for 2, but instant confusion. And then Mega Throw. If any Pokemon is a Pokemon EX, it's going to do 50 damage plus 30 more damage. So this is very good. 80 damage for 3 is very, very solid. Very respectable. I was going to say, yeah, incredibly solid, let's say. Great anti sort of EX Pokemon once again. So they have a little bit of EX hate in this set. Dugong, Poliwrath, both of them water Pokemon. Good stats, good attack. Can't go wrong with Poliwrath. Love the art on this card too. Rapidash. Right, what the fuck am I saying? Fiery Aura, as long as Rapidash is your active Pokemon, put 4 damage counters on instead of 2 and burn Pokemon. Cool. You got a burn attack with Searing Flame, does 10 and burn, and a rare kick, 40 for 3. Excellent art, but not the greatest, dude. Burn mechanics weren't as good as they are today. Let's look at Tauros. You can discard a stadium instantly. And you do Rampage, does 20 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage going on Tauros. And he's gonna be confused after doing damage if you flip it. Tails. Rage dude. We got Victreebel. As long as Victreebel is active, put 1 damage card on each defending Pokemon between turns. Acid Sampler stops working if your active Pokemon is not Victreebel. And Acid, defending Pokemon can retreat. 50 for 3. And you put 1 damage card on each defending Pokemon. So, pretty good. It's basically free damage, like the Sand Slam or Flygon. And it doesn't work on you. This is the double active Pokemon mechanics, I believe. I could be wrong because they're always confusing, saying both active Pokemon, both defending Pokemon. But I think you don't do damage to yourself. It would have sucked otherwise. Nice little ability too. Arcanine doesn't do shit. Cloyster. Exoskeleton. So it's gonna block 20 damage, but 70 HP isn't the best. I mean, I guess it's normal for back then. So a lot of interesting stuff as you would expect from basically any EX set, but I think we covered. Yeah, it doesn't really have. It's not as rich as Delta species, let's say, when it comes to Stage 1 and Stage 2 Pokemon that do amazing shit all day. Every one of them does something. But, you know, the EXs are good, the trainers are excellent. We have a bunch of Pokemon. Let's look at Snorlax here. If Snorlax remains asleep, you remove damage counters, and yeah, it does some Snorlax shit. That it does, you know, you put yourself to sleep, and then you heal yourself. And if Snorlax is asleep, this attack does more damage if it's asleep. So, good little basic Pokemon, I guess, if you want to do the slip shit. Slowbro with the clay art. Strange behavior. As long as you like, as often as you like during your turn, move a damage corner from one of your Pokemon to Slowbro. Huh. Maybe this has some implications, but it's not the greatest ability. Only fucking 60 HP too in a stage 1. Damn, that sucks. No, scratch that. This Pokemon is a sitting duck. Raichu. Pretty close-up art, I guess. You can recharge, search your deck for 2 lightning energies, attach them to Raichu. And then Thunder Reflection, you may move any number of lightning energies to another one of your Pokemon as you attack. So it kind of does the Dark Electrode shit, I suppose. Maybe that dude was better because it's faster. And it does damage while it attacks too, I believe. But yeah, I guess you can use this too if you want to. And then Marowak. This guy looks cool. I don't know why, but I think it does. Linear attack, 30 snipe, and vengeance. 30 damage plus 10 more damage for each basic Pokemon and evolution card in your discard pile. You can't add more than 60 damage. Wow, this is actually a good attack too. So you can max out at 90 damage for 3, but it's good damage for back then. And you need to have a bunch of discard pile basic and evolution cards though. Pretty good though. It's one of your. It's like the how the Night March shit was back then. I guess you could say that sort of strategy. Stage 1, dude. And yeah, as you guys can see, it has a limit. They should have done this for the Night March dudes as well. Not bullshit as much damage as you can. Ridiculous. Yeah, you see that Pokemon? You should have taken notes from your past self. Okay, you know what? Since I'm in the area, let's cover the last hollows too. Butterfree. As long as Butterfree's active, remove much damage counter from each of your Pokemon, so you can heal all of your dudes by 1. Not bad. Oh no, it needs to be active, so scratch that. Whirlwind. Your opponent switches, you do 30 and then 50 with Gust. Not the best. And then Ditto. Probably does some Ditto shit. Once during your turn, you may search your discard pile for a basic Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX and Ditto. Switch it with Ditto. You put any cards attached, damage counters are now the new Pokemon. You can do Energy Ball. 10 damage, plus 10 more damage for each energy attached to Ditto, but not used for the attack cost. So these are the holo cards. So we have a bunch of good stuff, but not amazing stuff. I guess the best cards are probably, actually these 3. Nidoqueen, Pidgeot, Poliwrath, of course Nidoking is a support. Maybe Marowak too. This guy is more of a gimmick dude, but I guess we can count him as a good Pokemon too. And then everything else is meh. Let's look at Dojo. I think it has the ability shit, yeah. As long as it's on your bench, you pay 2 less retreat cost to retreat your active Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX and baby Pokemon. So it does have a bunch of good cards for sure. Should have been in the top 10 sets like Delta Species? Maybe. Let's look at the Haunter too. I think you have an ability. Yeah, once during your turn you can confuse the dudes as long as the dude is on the bench. But that about covers it. Maybe there's a bunch of other smaller Pokemon that have some neat powers. I think some of them do have actually, but I don't remember quite yet. I think Voltorb has something. Yeah, as long as it has energy for retreat. So good little stuff here. Stuff you want to see on Pokemon. But this is FireRed and LeafGreen, EX FireRed and LeafGreen. It's definitely one of the strongest sets from that era. I mean, like I've said, if you look at the booster boxes and, a lot of the, let's say, concept art for the set, it doesn't look that good. For me, it doesn't excite me like the ones from Emerald, DX, Deoxys, some of the other sets like Power Keepers, Crystal Guardians. But the cards are definitely strong. They definitely left an impact. I mean, actually, so many top decks came out from this set. Like the Nidoqueen 1, Pidgeot was a major Pokemon in all sets, in many decks. Uh, Blastoise was significant. A lot of supporters, maybe the VS Seeker too, Electrode. So yeah, it is a top set for sure. But anyways, guys, I think this has been long enough. You get the idea. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this with your friends. Zebro4, what's up?